Okay, and I do a lot of editing, so it's okay if we have a blurb or something in there.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
Hello, guys. Gary Valley here with you again with the Chickens Everyday podcast and CENLA Backyard Chickens. You know, if you've been out in the chicken world for a length of time now, you're looking online and you're learning and you're getting a lot of information, and you find that there are those out there who have amassed a lot of information and they're good communicators in what they know and what they do. And then you find others that are just great with the knowledge. You just have amassed tons and tons of knowledge. Well, we have someone here today who's put it both together, everything together. I'm so excited to have this person. You just about have to pinch me to do it. I know that I'm a little bit nervous, but it's not every day you get to talk with the president about chickens, and that is the president of Chickenlandia. Anyway, Dalia Monterrosa, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Gary. It is so good to be here.
Well, you know, if anybody's out there who's been involved in chickens for any amount of time, you guys know who this wonderful lady is. But if you don't, and you're one of the newbies out there, and wonderfully, we get new people online every day who are learning about this wonderful, wonderful animal and starting up. So, Donna, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a backyard chicken educator. I live in the Pacific Northwest. I started out just teaching locally about chickens. And it started very soon after I got my first chickens. I just got really, really passionate about them and started teaching locally. And just from then, I describe it as like a boulder rolling down a hill. Like there's there's nothing that was going to stop it. I just started to teach more and more classes and do seminars. And then at one point, I did a TedX talk at Western Washington University,
I saw
and
that.
that was really like the thing that kind of catapulted me forward. And I started my YouTube channel not long after that. So ever since then, I think that was, gosh, 8 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. Um, and yeah, it's been a real adventure. It's been um it's been really eye-opening. It's been really transformative for me. And I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of people, once they get chickens, they kind of like it changes them
Oh,
in a good
I
way.
agree. Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. You know, when I knew that you and I were going to get together and have this chat, I wanted to be able to ask you at least one question that I have never heard anyone ask or never heard that you answered before. On
Okay.
each of your podcasts, at the end of your podcast, music starts and there's a male that comes on there and says, Dalia Monterrosa, the president of Chickenlandia from the Pacific Northwest. And at the end, he does a chicken sound. Who is this person?
You know what? Oh my gosh. I feel terrible because I can't remember his name right now.
I would have
He's
bet money it
actually
was your husband.
no. Oh my gosh.
I would have lost.
No, my husband is a behind the camera person. He's like, no, he's an actor. He's a professional actor. And I just kind of met him through, he had a YouTube channel about herbs. Gosh, I'm like, okay, after we're done, I'm gonna send you his information and you can put it in the show notes or in the
Please,
description.
please.
Because he's still out there making videos, but he is a professional actor. Like I think he was in one of the Harry Potter movies or something. So when I heard his voice, I hired him as a voice actor. So, and I said, can you please do this?
How
And he
neat.
was kind enough to do it. And like, just been using that same blurb for ever since 2020. So
So did I at least nail it? I'm the only one who has officially asked you this question.
nobody has ever asked.
Okay. I'm good. I'll see you later. We're all
Yeah,
done.
that's
I
it.
finally managed to pull one in there. You know, I had, of course, obviously, I'm the older guy here between you and I, and so the technical
Maybe.
information. Well, I promise you that I am, but the internet and all that, I had no earthly idea people talked about chickens on the internet. And it was some years ago that I think I was having an issue or something with one of my hands or something, and I just typed something on the internet like a Google search, and Yahoo came up. And when Yahoo
Yes.
came up, you showed up on there.
Oh,
And I binge watched you from that moment on. I saw you on TED Talk, and that was really, honestly, it was a little bit transformative to listen to you communicate on TED Talk. It was wonderful. And guys, if you need to Google this if you haven't already done so. It is a great talk. You look like you've been in front of an audience your entire life when you were up there. And
I'm
so
going
I
to tell you a funny story about that in a
please.
minute. Finish your thought. I'm going to tell you a funny story.
Well, once I realized, oh my goodness, people actually get on the internet and talk about chickens, so then I started finding other people that were doing this, and it kind of related back to my boyhood whenever we had chickens, and I kind of went, oh, well, wow, this is what we did back then, but we didn't do it the way we do it today. We purposely do it today. It was just kind of bred in with getting raised on a farm back then. So I just
Yes.
thought it was amazing. And you have never put out a video, you have never put out a podcast that I didn't listen to.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
well,
Wow.
it's
Thank
I
you.
love learning, and I think I know something about chickens, but then you get to see someone like you, or even someone like Miss Lisa Steele or somebody,
Mhm.
that have really amassed this kind of knowledge. It's just a pleasure to do that, and you have a way about you that you're silly and you're goofy and you're funny and you're interactive and people just kind of want to listen. At least that's how it came across with me. So yeah, you're just a plus to have in this community that we have. So yeah, please tell your story at this point because I can chat
Oh,
all afternoon.
well, first of all, thank you very much for those kind words. I really appreciate that. YouTube is a grind. It really is a grind.
Yes.
And I've been doing it for many, many years, and you can get burned out. And so every once in a while, it's kind of cyclical. Like I will be like, oh my gosh, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And then somebody comes and tells me what you just said. I said, okay,
You know
I'll
that
keep
that
going.
that happened to you about 8 or 10 months ago. I noticed that your presence went down, and I went, "Oh Lord, I don't know what she's doing, but I hope everything is okay and well." And and the videos that or the podcasts that I were seeing were some of the repeat shows and what have you, which are
Yes.
always great. But I know I've been there, done that. You need a break from this. Always coming
Yeah.
up with a subject and always being on top is it's tough.
Yeah, I was actually writing a book this last year, so it gets like really well. That's my first book. Okay, that's it. Let's all keep chickens. That's my
The-
first book.
you see, I have a
And
lot
thank
of
you for having
wrinkled
that.
pages in here
Oh,
because
great.
I still use it.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Um, I just finished my second book, and that should come out in 2027, believe it or not. It's like it takes a long
Oh,
time
wow.
for it's a real process when you go through a publishing company. They just have a lot of steps that they take, and there's designers and everything. So it's going to be a bit, but that will be coming out sooner than we know. It'll come out. Um, but yeah, I was working on that book, and during that time, my podcast really dropped off. So because it's like that's kind of the first thing, like I can't, the way that the YouTube algorithm is, if you take a big long break, it's like you may as well just,
Yeah, it's
take your
got you.
channel and
Yeah.
throw it in the
It's
garbage.
like, see you.
Yeah. It does not reward that. So, I had to keep the channel going. And I also have employees, like they're not employees, but they're people, that I contract to work with me, editors. And I don't want them to be out of work either. I can't just say, okay, we're going to take 6 months off. So I still made the videos, but yeah, I did back off a lot of the podcast, but we're starting back up again. We're on season 6, I think. Yeah, season 6. I always forget. Like what season it
I
is,
got you
what
back.
episode. So yeah, season 6. And I'm not putting out as many, like I'm not doing a lot of interviews this time around because I'm still just kind of recuperating from the last year, but I'll start doing that again, and things will pick back up. But yeah, I mean, it's all worth it in the end. And right now I'm feeling really good. I'm on I'm in a high production place. So hoping to stay here at
Wonderful.
least through
Well,
baby's
pace
chick season.
yourself because all of us out there in Chickenlandia want to keep you up and going. So pace yourself with what to do. I have to ask, you have to admit to yourself, you know a tad more than the average chicken guy out there. Okay? How did you go about amassing this knowledge and what made you want to learn all of this? I know a good deal about taking care of chickens and getting your coop just right and fixing them and having a yard out there and how to help with predators, but you not only know this, you're kind of into the healing part of it. If your
Yeah.
chicken gets sick, what's going on type of deal. So how did
Yeah.
you decide and how did you amass this knowledge?
You know, I've said this before in interviews, but there's a quote from Steven Spielberg, and he says, I can't remember it verbatim, but he says something like, the dream of your life is the one that sneaks up behind you. Or something like something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
it's the dream of your life. And I, I can't explain what happened when I got chickens, but I became just so passionate about them. And I think that's why I'm able to retain all this information. Like with anything else, I mean, I'm the kind of person where if I'm passionate about something, I can really like get
Sure.
into it and
Sure.
remember everything about it and talk about it and really geek out on it. But if I'm not passionate about it, if it's not like of interest to me, it's really difficult for me to retain that information in my head.
Yeah,
So
you have to want to. That's true.
yeah. And even it's so funny because I have ducks and I absolutely love my ducks. I also have dogs. I absolutely love my dogs. I'm 100%, you know, I care for them just like I do my chickens, my dogs. Obviously, there's just a special relationship that you have with a dog
Hmm.
that's going to be different than what you have with a chicken. And I don't know that much about dogs. Like, I don't know about their health, like, oh, this is this disease and that, I don't know that. Same with ducks. I
Hmm.
really, in my, from my observation, ducks are either alive or they're just completely dead. Like they are well or they're dead. And they're very, very hardy. They're hardier than chickens. They don't get sick very often. It's just kind of like, oh, they're here.
Yeah, but they sure make a mess.
Oh, they do. Oh my
My
gosh, it's a good
granddaughter
thing
wants
they're
ducks,
cute.
and I'm like, no, please don't make me do this.
Oh, I mean, they're so darn cute. That's their saving grace. But yeah, they make a gross, disgusting poopy mess. But
Well,
I forgot, I'm going to tell you this story really, really
please.
quick. When I did, okay, like literally 5 minutes before I got on stage to do my TEDx talk, and it's called I Dream of Chickens. If you're on YouTube, you can search for it on YouTube and it'll come up. I started getting tooth pain. And, it's like I have all of my wisdom teeth, and for some reason, one of them, it started to hurt.
What a time.
And yes, and like tooth pain is literally the
Oh,
worst. Like
right up
it's
there with an earache. It's just, oh, it's
yes,
debilitating.
yes. And it started and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I just like got a bunch of ibuprofen or something. I mean, not a bunch, but I took like 4 ibuprofen or something like I normally wouldn't do. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? My tooth hurts so bad. But when I got up there, it's just the adrenaline kind of takes over. But it's funny because every time I see it and people tell me, oh, you didn't look nervous or anything, it's like, wow, you just didn't know. Like my tooth hurts so bad.
Maybe that was a plus.
Yeah.
Get your mind off being
Yeah.
nervous.
It was the ibuprofen just pumping through my veins.
Working on your liver for sure.
Yes. Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Well, I grew up in a place called Dry Creek, Louisiana, and I know you grew up in Texas, so we're
I
kind
did.
of geographic neighbors when it
Yep.
comes to that. But Dry Creek, even to this day, and I haven't lived there in 40 something years, but even to this day, it's a step back in time.
Hmm.
When we lived there, when I was raised there, there was a post office and a general store in one road, and that was it.
Yeah.
And we actually were the last house before you got to the cemetery. And there's a lot of funny stories we can go over
Ooh.
some other time, but before that. But my mother loved animals, and we had dogs, we had cats, we had chickens, we had ducks, we had turkeys, cows, horses, pigs. We never had rabbits and never had goats that I can remember. But it was my job to take care of the animals. So before school, I'm out there feeding chickens, make sure they have water, and I hated every minute of it. And when you're in the sixth grade, you don't like to do that. You do hate it, you know. And so I had to do this part of my daily routine every day. And then the evenings, you gather eggs and you take care of them and do what they need to do. Well, fast forward, you know, you get out of school, you go to college, you get married, you have kids, and you do all of that. And in 2016, my kids decided I needed chickens. So they got me a chicken chack tractor and three hens. And oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I'm in love with chickens.
Yeah.
When we were raised, I have, and I hope I'm not saying anything bad about, but I butchered chickens as a young man.
Oh
We
yeah.
did that
Hmm.
because we were country folks. That's what you
Yeah.
did, you know.
Hmm.
Oh my word, I could not hurt one of my
I
chickens if
know.
you tried to pay me. You know,
Yeah.
I had a black sex link about 3 years ago. She was one. I call her my OG. She was one of my original girls, and
Hmm.
she was on up there. She was long in the tooth, you know,
Yeah.
and she died.
Yeah.
And I literally was crying about it. And my wife was there with me. I said, I'm crying over a damn chicken, you know.
Yeah.
But you just
Yep.
get so attached to these things and you just want to help them and you want to learn and you want to know more. You know, and you relate to this a lot. I remember when your young rooster died, you know, you
Yeah.
could see the emotion, you could feel it coming from you. It's amazing how these birds do what they do to us and for us at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a big surprise to me. I mean, I've been an animal lover my whole life. And same, you know, we grew up in the suburbs, so we didn't have farm animals, but we had dogs and we had cats and we had frogs and we had hamsters and we had a crawfish at one point, and then he ate all the other fish. Uh, we didn't know.
We used to say one, you know, here in Louisiana we eat crawfish.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That is a staple for us. And we used to, as kids, we would save them and put them in the aquarium for a little while, you know, and play
Yeah.
with them. And of course, they only lasted a couple of 3 weeks, but we loved doing that. So anyway, you did the TED Talk,
Mhm.
then you decided, okay, I think I want to take this further. So you started doing videos and you started doing YouTube, and then did that, how quickly did you start amassing followers and to see the results of your labor?
It wasn't that quick. And it's funny, like the whole YouTube thing, you know, I during that time, all the famous like chicken people, they all had blogs. Like that's how everybody kind of
I
came
know, and I
up.
just can't do it. I just
Yeah.
can't, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just assumed that that's what I would do, that I would have this blog. I started my website like right after the and I started my business. You know, I created the Chickenlandia LLC. That was right after the TEDx talk, because I knew, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I don't exactly know how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to what I'm going to do. So I wrote a blog, and then I had some chickens that I got, like some baby chicks, and one of them was Philippe.
Yes.
Philippe and another little chicken whose name I can't remember right now. And so I went out there and I was like, okay, let's, you know, we're going to meet Philippe. And I was with my kids. My kids were little. And I just made this video. And it was, you know, I used like the music from Apple, whatever the iMovie or whatever. And I made this little video. And then about a week later, I was like, you know, I like that. I'm going to make another video, and just did a silly video. About a week later, another silly video. Weekly, and I just kind of kept doing it. And then I was like, okay, I actually really like doing this and I don't want to lose momentum. So I'm going to treat this like a job. And I think a lot of YouTubers, when they go into it, they don't really think of it that way. They just want to, they're trying to get that viral video
Hmm.
and they want that to kind of be their avenue in, but it really, like, if you want a sustainable audience, it really doesn't work that way. So I grew really slow. I mean, I didn't really start. I started in, I think, 2017. I didn't really start seeing a rise in subscribers until COVID. So in 2020 was when my channel really started to take off.
COVID was helpful for anyone in the chicken world.
Yeah,
Even the
yeah.
ones with the misinformation, grew and boomed during
Yeah,
COVID.
it
Well,
was
yeah,
it
like
was
the government's
really
behind making your backyard chickens not lay eggs, things like that.
yeah, I mean it was a weird time and it was a or it, I feel like I kind of like went into like a wormhole and came out on the other side. It was, and I feel like everybody kind of feels that way, kind of looking back at it. It's almost like missing years. But that was when really all the growth happened. And that's when I got my book deal, was during COVID, my first book. So yeah, it has been slow going. I've seen, you know, dips and there's been peaks and valleys, but the trajectory has been going up for a
Hmm.
while. And I'm certainly, I know that YouTube isn't forever, and that's why I've written books, and I want to expand my business and do other things. But for right now, I mean, it really is, in my opinion, I think it's the best way to reach an audience. Like, I could do short form videos, but for me, it's just, I really like just to have a conversation with my audience and connect that way.
Absolutely. My kids keep telling me that YouTube Shorts is where it's at, and I've got a half dozen of them. But
Yeah.
again, I can't do that. When my mouth opens, it just kind of ends up going
Yeah.
for a while. And my
Yeah. I
wife
mean,
says
yeah. I mean, I do shorts. Um, but usually it's like from my long form videos. Like, I'll take bits of information, and my editors will create shorts out of them. And then every once in a while I'll come up with something funny will happen, and I'll make a little short. But I'm not out there like dancing and stuff. I kind of want to, but but I'm not.
well,
Not yet.
someone like me looks at someone like you and says, okay, this sweet lady is kind of the standard for how you would want to do this. But I really think the secret to your success is the love and the passion that you have for your subject, for what you're talking about. You live with your chickens. You're just not someone to talk about these birds. You live this life with them. And I try to do the same. But you just have that ability to communicate so well and be so interesting. Your first several videos, because I started at the beginning once I learned who you were, you just giggled through the whole video.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm,
When the
I'm
camera's
laying
like
there, and
shaking.
half the time I go to bed at night, and I would slap on YouTube, and I watch Dalia doing it, and she just giggling the whole time. And I'm like, what's this lady on? You know. But it was so fun and so interesting to watch. So let's stop right there when we're as far as what talking about, you and I, what we're doing. Let's address a new chicken owner. If someone just showed up at your house, and I'm not telling anybody to do that, but if someone showed up
Thank you.
at your house and they're going to want to be a new chicken owner, what are some of the things that you're going to tell them to do? This is how you want to start off, because I know chicken math hits you at some point in time. It does it to all of us.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's going
yeah.
to be part of your conversation with a new person. I'm not trying to, tell you how to put all this, but what are you going to tell that brand new person who's saying, "Oh, I love these birds. They're so cute. I think I want to do this."
Well, I mean, obviously there's like all the general information, and that's all out there. It's so easy to find, pretty good information about backyard chicken keeping. If you just do a Google search, getting started with chickens, you're going to find decent information. But the one thing that I don't see that often is just reminding people, this really isn't complicated. And you're going to get the idea that it's complicated. Like you're going to get a lot, you'll be inundated with information. You will be told you need to have a lot of money. You will be told that if you don't do it a certain way, that you're doing it wrong. And I kind of want you to just kind of tune that out and remember that human beings have kept chickens for literally thousands of years. And this is the most, one of the most natural things you could ever do.
Oh, yeah. I tell people in several of my videos that the poorest people in the poorest countries on the planet
Yes.
successfully keep chickens. You don't
Yes.
have to put out a bankroll to do this.
Yes.
You're so right. And yes, there are those on there. I did one of the videos and I talked about cleaning my coop out that I may not do the poop clean in my coop, but maybe 3 times a week. And this lady came back and she fussed at me. This is an everyday thing that you need to be doing to your birds. You're going to kill your chickens if you do. Well,
What?
I've had chickens for a long time back there.
Yeah, 3 times a week is a lot. I mean, she doesn't want to have a conversation with
Yeah,
me.
and,
She'll
and I
be
don't do
terrible.
deep litter, but what I will do is I do the pine shavings, but I mix peat moss in my pine shavings and I mix the
Mm,
sorghum peat moss in them. And
okay.
peat moss has an antiseptic and an I don't know what the other anti word is, but as early as World War I, peat moss was used in dressings for wounded soldiers. So if you got a
Oh,
chicken that has a cut foot or something like that, and bumblefoot can happen from those things. Having peat moss in there is a good thing to do, but the best thing about it is it absorbs ammonia. It doesn't
yeah.
mask it. It actually absorbs ammonia. One of the guys I listen to a lot, Jeff, I forget Jeff's last name, but he's president of the Trail Company. And he will tell you that if you can smell ammonia, it's already at a level in your coop that can
Yeah.
irritate the chickens. So you don't want to smell it. You can't put too much peat moss because it's so dry. You can make a very dry, dusty environment by doing it. But I love that stuff. So, okay. Next on the list for the brand new chicken owners. I'm sorry I interrupted.
That's okay. Yeah, I would just say, the other thing is don't be in too much of a hurry. Like I think a lot of times, and I'm certainly guilty of this, you get excited about something and you're like, "Oh, I want to do this yesterday." But you really don't want to like put the cart before the horse for this one. Like
Oh,
you
so
don't
true.
want to bring baby chicks home and not be fully prepared for that experience. And the other thing is that actually makes it more expensive. Like if you are looking to save money, you need to be patient about collecting items, and especially if you're going to be, a lot of people. I've seen wonderful, amazing coops made out of repurposed materials, but you have to give yourself time in order to find quality materials
Yeah,
because
and
if
marketplace is
you
a good
make it,
place to
yeah,
look. Yeah.
because if you make a coop, out of repurposed materials, but those materials are not good quality, then that's like kind of throwing money away too. So so yeah, there's that, just definitely like be patient, give yourself a lot of time. Um and also like just remember like chill out. Like
It's not easy
chill
to
out.
do when you first start getting these birds and you're all up, oh my goodness, look at these. I
Yeah.
want more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah. And that I guess that would take me to the third thing, build bigger than what you think you need.
Oh goodness, yes. Yeah.
And not just because, oh, I might get more chickens, but I would build, as big as you can, because really there is a minimum space that you can have, and I will always help people to work with the space that they have. And there's things that you can do to offer enrichment for your chickens and make it work. I'm all about making what you have work, but there's just no denying that the more space you have, the less problems you're going to have.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah, and if you have overcrowding, like that's it. Like you're going to have problems. You're going to have stress. Your chickens are going to be stressed out. You probably have end up with compulsive issues that chickens will get into, like bullying or feather picking or whatever. And then with those kinds of conditions, you've got disease and parasite infestation. So those are really kind of the top three things is like chill out, give yourself enough time, and use up as much space as you can. As much space that makes sense for your yard.
I so agree. And and you touched on something that I have to give you credit for me doing this. I keep a dust bath. My coop where they actually spend the night and they roost is a couple of feet off the ground, and it's inside my 20 by 40 run. And then every day my birds run around outside in the yard. But under the coop, I keep a dust bath, and I make my dust bath. But I started incorporating diatomaceous earth, food grade only,
Yes, yes.
in the
Uh-huh.
dust bath. I had no idea what it was for and what it did. And then one of your videos taught me, and I'm the kind of guy, as sweet and wonderful as you are or anybody else, I have to have more than one confirmation. And I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
online and find out, these are diatoms, is what diatomaceous earth is. And they're the skeletal remains of fossilized creatures from thousands of years ago in the seabed. And they're
Yep.
one of the most numerous elements we have on the planet. There are
Yeah, it's
minerals
an
now.
essential mineral. Like
Yes,
it's
they're
silica.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And the food grade ones are processed even more to where they don't have the sharp edges on them, which can get in your lungs and your bird's lungs and start irritating and causing issues. The food grade is processed more to not be able to do that. What DE does, if you guys don't know, it gets to the mites and lice and it gets in their skins and it inhibits their ability to function. It pulls out moisture out of their bodies and all this stuff, and it knocks them out. It
Yeah.
takes them out. Since that day, in probably 6 years, I guess now, I have never had a mite or lice issue on one of my birds. And I
Oh,
just got
wow.
through looking at them again the other day. It's
That's
just wonderful,
great.
and you don't have to overdo it. When
Yeah.
you make your dust bath, but just one of the little things, and I teach people about it on my videos now because someone out there taught me on her video
Yeah.
how to do it. There's all these ways to skin a cat. And you've always said it's not just the Chickenlandia way. And I have always said because of that, it's not just the CENLA backyard chickens way. There's all kind
Yeah.
of ways to do it. And by the way, CENLA, CENLA, stands for Central Louisiana because I know it sounds a little different, little odd. I remember probably 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, on your video channel on YouTube, I put a question and you put me in there, Sinley Backyard Chickens,
Oh.
when you called my name out. I went, no,
Sorry about that. That you're not the only one.
oh yeah, but Central Louisiana. We have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it's gone by so quickly. What are a
Yeah.
couple of other things we get tips and tricks for our birds?
Well, there, you know, this is very, very important. Your chicken yard is unique to your experience, and there is not going to be another chicken yard in the world that it has the exact same elements that your chicken yard has. And because of that, it is really important that when it really comes down to it, you do what feels right to you for your chickens. So it doesn't matter, if you're dealing with a situation, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what another backyard chicken keeper says. If it doesn't feel right to you to do that, then you need to do what feels right because there's just so many variables when it comes to backyard chickens. And one thing that I see a lot with people, with other educators, and this isn't to, I'm sure I've done it too, is we kind of look at our situation and we say, okay, this is what you need to do. But, even just in the United States, there's so many different environments, there's so many
Hmm.
different climates. So even
Oh,
like
so
where I
true.
live now is very different from my old neighborhood, which is 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nobody knows more than you do when it comes to your chickens about what you need to do.
So true. Well,
So listen to your heart.
listen to your heart. The last question I want to ask you is one of the toughest questions.
Okay.
What do we do when we lose a bird? What is that? How do people want to understand to cope with it? Because it's going to happen.
Yeah. Forgive yourself. Number one. That to me is the hardest part because whenever I lose a bird, and it doesn't even matter, it doesn't matter like why it happened, I will always blame myself. I could have done this, I could have done that. Why didn't I catch that sooner? Why didn't I? You know, production breeds, especially, they are not bred for resilience. And there's
Yes.
only
Yeah.
so much that we can do. Really, 4 years is a pretty decent long life for a production breed. And 6 years is like they're really getting into senior. And then if they live longer than that, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I say focus on the life that they had and the life that you were able to give them, and remember that it is they had a better life than most chickens in on earth.
Oh, isn't that so true?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
so true? Well, to end things up on a happy note,
Yes.
chickens make us happy. If you're thinking about getting chickens, you're going to have such a wonderful adventure. It is just a great thing for people to become involved in. And I know that you feel the same way. Tell me how your chickens make you happy. I know that you use the word peace,
Yes.
and what have you when you out in your chicken yard, and it's just true. An
Yeah.
hour ago, I was sitting next to my grow out pen with my 5 week olds, and it's
Yeah.
just wonderful.
I think a big part of the reason why they make me happy is they connect me more with really how I'm supposed to live. When I go out with my chickens, I am kind of touching on something that is really lost in our modern lives. And that is so important. And also, it has just connected me with so many people and people that I otherwise may not have ever talked to or been connected with. It has helped me to understand, to have compassion for people and to understand that there's all kinds of people,
Isn't it
and
so?
really ultimately we have more in common than we have differences. And so that really to me is happiness. When
I
we
so agree.
start to see that
Yeah.
truth, that's happiness.
But Dahlia, I hate that we're running out of time here today. You're so warm. You're so personable. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today. I can't tell you what it means to me and hopefully for some of my followers. I hope to get to chat with you soon. Thank you again.
You are so welcome, and I hope we get to talk soon as well.
Bye bye.